everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus from Threshold of Hineni, and I'm actually feeling pretty decent right now. I'm not going to say today because I'm learning that it's like, yo-yo city, and like I just posted on Facebook, I've found that this is the one time that it's acceptable for me to have yo-yo emotions, and so I plan to fully take advantage of it. I'm not really taking advantage of it, but it's just the way it is. Anyway, so this is Friday. It is a week and 5 days after my husband was killed in a car crash, and so I've been just like recording about my journey through all this, which has just really helped me. I hope that it's helping others, but it has really helped me, and I really appreciate people who have listened and prayed and and everything else. My voice is sultry and sexy, isn't it? It's because I'm losing my voice because I'm not doing as much crying now, but I did a lot, and I did a lot of screaming at the beginning, and then I teach for like 5 to 8 hours a day, and 6 days a week, and my voice is really taking a toll from that. But anyway, so I don't usually share during the day. I usually do this at night, but I had kind of a revelation that I wanted to share with you before it kind of fades away. It's like my mind can't hold anything for very long. So last week I had written something about intimacy, and it's way too long for me to share right now. I think that I shared about it in one of my videos. If not, I'll make it into a couple blog posts, and I'll put the links below, because I think it was actually really good. I think that what God was showing me was pretty intense, and I think it could be helpful to people in a lot of situations, not just grief. It really didn't have to do that much with grief, but it had to do with our marriage. And so I want to put the stuff that I wrote about that in here because it really talked a lot about our marriage. But I want to tell you about what I've been going through today that has to do with that. And so this morning, yesterday was just really hard. I think I was just like really depressed, and this morning I was still really depressed. And I had been working on, taking the piles of bills and stuff that Bill had in various places in our house, where he worked on finances, and just to let you know, I'm not like Miss Super Neat person. I have my piles too. I just have different things that are in piles, and so I totally understand, and I have no problem with him having had all these piles. It's just that now I need to reorganize it so that I know what's going on with our finances, and so nothing slips through the cracks or anything, and it needs to be organized my way because I'm the one who's going to be dealing with it. But in doing that, I did not, this kind of hit me as a curveball because I had no idea that this would happen, but I felt like I was losing something of my husband by moving those stacks. And I kind of think this is common because I know that a lot of women have problems getting rid of things and everything, so I think it's kind of along that line. I don't know, for some reason it just kind of hit me. It just kind of surprised me. I didn't expect it, which I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I feel like every time I move something of his that I'm losing part of him. It's like, when I stopped and really thought about it, I realized that it's like my mind knows he's gone. There's no getting him back. My heart still hasn't accepted that. And so my heart is kind of afraid that if I move things, that it's, that maybe he won't come back or something, and that if I leave things the way that they are, then maybe it'll still be July 14th and he'll walk in the door or call me, because he wasn't going to walk in the door July 14th. He was heading up to Maryland, and he was going to be gone for almost a week. But, that he would call me or something. That, I don't know, I guess I just kind of feel like if I don't change things, then they haven't changed. Which is just part of that insanity that comes with this whole thing. Okay, I need to make sure that I have enough pages to put all this because I've written a lot. Yeah, okay. Okay, so anyway, so I've just been praying about that, and I had a really good worship time. That's been super, super important, is that, I have some time where I'm just, I sit there at my desk, I've got my headphones on, there's nobody in the house to hear me, and I'm pretty sure nobody can hear me outside. I live like right on the edge of downtown, so I don't have like a house like right next to me or anything, and everything else is far enough away that I'm pretty sure people can't hear me. And so I can just sing at the top of my voice, which is probably another reason why I'm losing my voice. I can just put on worship songs, and sometimes I have a worship playlist that I really, really like. It's really powerful, and it's like spiritual warfare worship and stuff. But sometimes, God just brings other songs to mind, and I use those instead. And anyway, so I had a good worship time today, and some time in the Word. And so then I was like feeding the animals and stuff and getting my own breakfast ready, and just thinking about this whole thing of, I need to be able to move some of Bill's stuff. I mean, Bill and I had the whole kitchen table covered with our herb pill bottles and, whatever we were working on and stuff. And it's like, now it's my mom and dad and me wanting to eat there, and there's no place for my mom to put a plate so she can sit and eat. And she's been very understanding about that, hasn't pushed me at all to move stuff or anything. But it's like, it needs to happen. But it's like, I'm like afraid to move his stuff. And anyway, so I was sitting there at the table trying to, pray through this, think through it, whatever. And I had used, when I was talking about this in my Facebook post today about my struggle with this, I had said something about that I feel like I'm going to lose the residue of him. It's like, I don't want to change our sheets, our bed sheets, because it's like, he's still there. It feels like there's part of him that's still there because I haven't changed the sheets. His whatever, his flaky skin has flaked off, all the stuff that we want to get rid of because it's not healthy to keep that there. It's like, well, that's all I have of him. And so, so it's like, I don't want to change my sheets and stuff. It's like, I want that residue of my husband to stay with me. I don't want to lose it. And anyway, I realized that I had used that same word to describe how I felt when I first met him and when he first told me about Beth, his late wife. Because he and Beth had a really long and awesome marriage. I think it was like 38 years or something. And it was just a really, really good marriage. And that's a lot of why we've had a good marriage, is because he had that experience and he learned a lot from it, and he was able to bring that in and teach me about how to have a good marriage. And but I remember thinking when we first were getting to know each other online and he told me about Beth, I remember thinking, and I used that word, residue, that there was like her residue on him. I hadn't seen him at that point. We were 1,300 miles away, but just talking about her, I could sense her residue on him. And I mean, it was, I don't know, 20 years later or something after she passed away. Yeah, it was 20 years later. And he had been through another marriage in between that time. But her residue was still there. And it made me feel safe. It's like, it was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm talking to, I don't know how to explain this, but it was like she was, in a way, what was left of her on him was assuring me that he was a safe person and that he would be good to know. And at that point, I don't think I was even thinking romance. The guy was 20 years older than me. He was a long ways away, but it was like, yeah, this could be a good friendship. And that's another whole story, you guys, but I have that recorded elsewhere. Anyway, how we met and courted and everything. Anyway, it struck me that his residue, just like Beth's residue was still on him so much later, his residue is still going to be on me so much later. And, and there are things that he, like I have this fear of moving on without him, because we really built something special, not just our marriage, but we were building kind of a business empire not really an empire, but it's like we believe in multiple streams of income, that's just the wise way of doing things, that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And so so we had quite a few different things going on, all under one heading of knits and novels, basically, although we also had it under Chester River Knitting Company. We had all of our stuff under Chester River Knitting Company, and then we started a store called Knits and Novels, so we put all of that there. And if that makes any sense. Anyway, in doing all that together, he invested a lot in me, and I don't mean money-wise, but we invested in each other. We invested our experience, we've invested our knowledge and our wisdom, and honestly, I think that he invested a lot more in me than I did in him, because he was older and more experienced and more wise, and so he had a lot more to invest in me than I had to invest in him. and the thing is, first of all, that residue is still going to be with me, because he invested it in me, he left it in me. And it has to do with this whole thing that I shared about intimacy, that he deposited this in me. I mean, that's what an investment is. When you deposit something into a bank or whatever, it's like he deposited all these things into me in our intimate marriage. And I don't just mean like the sexual things. I mean, our marriage was very, very intimate. And especially using the definition that I used in what I wrote. And that is always going to be with me, unless I do something to lose it, but it can always be there with me. It's, it's an investment, and I have to be a good steward of that investment. And again, I'm not talking about a financial investment. I'm talking about what he invested in me personally, and as far as in wisdom and teaching me things. I mean, like, he taught me to not let myself get bullied. I was totally always letting people bully me, and he taught me not to accept that. And and there's just a lot of other things too, and then there's things that, like, he didn't teach me per se, but he really invested a lot in my sense of self-worth and my confidence. Because he was just always recognizing and calling out things that were in me that maybe I didn't see, or maybe I saw but I wasn't sure of, or I didn't feel confident in, or maybe I saw but I felt like, I don't know, like they weren't things that I could use and stuff. And and he would call those things out, and he would encourage me in them and everything. I mean, like, for example, teaching, with my job teaching Chinese kids, every single day. And he had a different way of saying it all the time, but he would just tell me that he thought that I was probably their best teacher, which I know I'm not, but it's like, it really, really built up my confidence. And I think he really believed it, which is what's kind of funny, but it doesn't matter that he was a little off on that, but it's still, it built that in me. It built that confidence in me, and I don't know, he just believed that I could do things. And so I don't think he believed in my books quite as much as I do, but that's okay. It wasn't his type of books, that was the thing, and he didn't really read them. He read like the very first one, but that one I didn't really like, and I rewrote it anyway. So he never said he didn't believe in him, but he wasn't like, like a fan, because the things he reads are completely different from the things that I write. So anyway, but that's not the point. Anyway, so it's like, yeah, I'm going to always have that residue. And I also realized that it's not just like, okay, God left me alone here without him, and I have to do this by myself. I don't really, because it's like I've got what he deposited in me, which I think that God put us in each other's lives so that we could deposit those things in each other. And, because he left first, maybe there was more deposited in me than in him. but because there needed to be, because I was going to live on. I don't know. And I really don't think that I had as much to deposit in him as he did in me, because, you know, like I said, he was older and wiser, and he just had a lot more experience and everything to give me. So there was a lot more for me to learn from him than there was for him to learn from me, although I know that he did learn things from me. But anyway, the point is, that I realized today that it's not like, oh, I have to learn how to survive and move on without him. It's more like, no, I have a responsibility to what he's invested in me to move on and continue, you know, what we started. And it might not be in exactly the same form that we started it in. I don't know. But in fact, I'm pretty sure that it won't be, because I won't have him. But we started something, and, you know, maybe now it's going to take another version or something. I don't know. But I need to use what Bill invested in me. I need to be a good steward of that. And that's like probably the best way that I can honor him. You know, we had some really amazing dreams together of things that we wanted to do, and we knew we couldn't do all of them, you know, but it's like, but we had some cool ideas, I think. And seriously, you guys, if somebody is looking for a business idea and you think that you're like kind of a kindred spirit with me, I would be happy to share some of the ideas that we had that I know I'm not going to be able to do, and, you know, share those ideas with you. And maybe that's something that you could do. Because, like I said, you know, we knew that we couldn't do everything that we dreamed of. And there's a lot of things that come out in my books that are things that, you know, I've had dreams of, but now that I'm getting to be this age, I realize I'm not going to be able to do. And I put them in there, like the soup kitchen, the way that the soup kitchen ministry was run in Springs of Deliverance. You know, it's like that's kind of been one of my dreams. Well, it's not something I'm going to be able to do. And so I've put it in there kind of to hopefully inspire somebody else to maybe pick that up and run with it. So anyway, so I just feel like I can best honor him by being faithful to build on what we've had in our marriage, in our businesses. And our businesses were part of our marriage, you know, and our marriage was part of our businesses. It's all just kind of glopped in there together, and not in a sloppy way, but I think it was just, yeah, it's hard to explain. It's just, we believe in putting ourselves into our businesses. And so, you know, when somebody contacted us about having Bill make them a sweater, you know, I was the person who would talk to them. Sometimes I would do it in Bill's name, but usually, you know, I was like Alyce-Kay, Bill's wife, you know, kind of thing. And sometimes, once in a while, he would dictate something to me to write to them. But, you know, it's like we wanted to personally get to know our customers and to really be part of their lives and help them be part of our lives. It was and I still feel this about, you know, my businesses, my ministry, whatever, that it needs to be a very personal thing. I am investing in you. If you are getting anything at all from me, whether you're getting something from these videos, I am personally investing in you, and it's up to you whether or not you let me know you or how much you let me know you, but I'm investing in you. When you read my books, I'm investing in you. If we have a coaching relationship, oh my gosh, I'm really investing in you. You know, it's just like, but it's up to you how much I do that. And that's just how Bill and I always felt about things, was that we really wanted to invest in people. And it might sound like, well, sweaters aren't really an investment in people, but they are. I mean, we got involved in people's lives personally, and so that was an investment, but also sweaters are something that you wear. You need to wear them. It's like, you know, we have a friend we have a lot of friends who are realtors, but we have a friend who is a realtor who I think he, more than any other realtor that I know, sees what he's doing as a realtor as like a ministry. You know, it's like he's trying to help people find their home, which is such an important part of your life. You know, a ministry doesn't have to be about something spiritual or anything. It can be something like that. Being a janitor is a ministry. Oh my word, because you're just like making an environment that's conducive to people being able to do what God's called them to do. Being a school teacher is a ministry. You know, all those things, everything's a ministry. So if you think of it that way. If you don't, then it's not. But if you think of it that way, then it can be, and it is. And anyway, so yeah, so I mean, we just really believe in investing in people, and that was a big part of everything that we did. You know, when we had the store up in Tellico Plains that we ended up closing a few months ago, which now is incredibly providential because there's no way I could have done that by myself. But when we had that, it wasn't just about selling our sweaters and artwork and books and all that kind of stuff. It was also, we wanted it to be like a place where people would gather. We wanted to have eventually couches there where people could just come and sit and visit, and we wanted to have a book club, and we wanted to have writers workshops, especially for kids, and we had even talked also about like history workshops, and maybe even some kind of scholarship and stuff. You know, it wasn't anything that we had the money for at that point, but it was one of our dreams. And, you know, things to encourage kids to be, to really reach their potential, and to envision their potential, and, you know, an opportunity for us to be able to help guide them into that. Just things like that. And yeah, so I mean, we just saw all of that as an investment into people. And so, yeah, I mean, it was sad when we had to decide to close the shop because we were letting go of that whole idea. But, you know, there were other things. We had other dreams too. We had a lot more than we could possibly do. So anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to share, basically, you know, the bottom line is it's this whole intimacy thing of somebody depositing something into you. And I realized that deposit didn't go away with Bill. He deposited it in me before he left. And so I have that, and I now need to be a good steward of that. And so it's not just that I need to, like, okay, I have no choice, so I have to live and continue on without him. It's more like it's a responsibility, and if I really love him, that I'll honor him by doing that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because to me that was all kind of a big deal, revelation and everything. And so, yeah, and I hope that's helpful to somebody else. And it may not be because you're grieving, it may be because of something else. I don't know, but I really hope that in sharing these things, they are, for me, they are very therapeutic for me, and honestly, that's the main reason that I'm doing it right now. I'm being really selfish, to be honest, because I'm just doing this because I need to do it. But I would feel almost like it's a waste if it doesn't help somebody else, and so I'm really hoping that these will help you too. Anyway, that's it for right now. I will probably share again later tonight, but I always post these like one a day kind of thing. So that's why I tell you how far I am from his death at the beginning, so that you know, because if you're seeing this like 3 weeks after his death, you'll know that it really was just like 1.5 weeks or whatever. Okay, so I love you all, and probably my next video I'll be down. You know, this is the yo-yo season, so I get to do that. So anyway, I love you all. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.